What do you do when everything around you is broken? The city, the people, the vision, even your heart. That's the story of Nehemiah. And maybe it's your story too. Nehemiah wasn't a prophet, he wasn't a warrior. He was a cupbearer, a servant in a palace. But then, he heard that the walls of Jerusalem were in ruins. The gates burned, the people ashamed, and something inside him broke. Nehemiah 1:4 says, "When I heard these things, I sat down and wept. For some days I mourned, fasted, and prayed before the God of heaven." He didn't ignore the pain. He brought it to God. And then, he did something bold. He asked the king for permission, to go rebuild what was broken. He didn't wait for someone more qualified. He didn't pray and pass the problem. He owned it. Because broken walls weren't just a construction issue, they were a spiritual one. So Nehemiah went back to a city in ruins, to a people discouraged, to enemies on every side. And he said, "Come, let us rebuild the wall, and we will no longer be in disgrace." Nehemiah 2:17, the people said yes. They began building brick by brick, side by side, but the enemy came quickly, mocking, threatening, trying to stop the work. And Nehemiah said this, "The God of heaven will give us success. We, his servants, will start rebuilding." Nehemiah 2:20. They built with a tool in one hand and a sword in the other, praying, watching, refusing to quit. Because when you start rebuilding what's broken, opposition will come. But so will God's strength. In just 52 days, they rebuilt the wall. What seemed impossible became reality. Not because Nehemiah was the strongest, but because he was the most surrendered. He stayed close to God. He stayed focused on the mission. He led through prayer, not pride, and revival followed. So what does Nehemiah's story mean for us today? It means you don't need a title to lead. You don't need to be the loudest voice in the room. You just need a burden and a willingness to build. Maybe your walls are broken. Maybe your family feels scattered. Maybe your heart is tired. But God is calling you to rise up and start rebuilding. Not with your own strength, but with His. You'll face resistance, you'll fight discouragement. But the same God who helped Nehemiah will help you. So pick up your tool. Get back on the wall, build what's broken. Because it's not just about restoring bricks, it's about restoring hope.